Let's start with a simple question. How many wonders of the world can you name right now? 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4? Most people usually remember the pyramids, the Colosseum, or the Great Wall of China. But here's the problem. Those are not the wonders of the world, at least not the ones the ancient people talked about. The original list appeared more than 2,200 years ago, around the time of the campaigns of Alexander the Great, when his army traveled through Egypt, Persia, and Mesopotamia. The Greeks saw enormous structures built by different civilizations. Travelers and historians began writing down which buildings in the world were the most astonishing. Later, the Greek poet Antipater of Sidon compiled a list of 7 structures that were considered the greatest achievements of humanity. 7, because for the Greeks it was the perfect number. That is how the list we now call the 7 Wonders of the Ancient World was created. But there is one surprising detail. Out of all 7, only 1 has survived to this day. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built around 2600 BC for the pharaoh Khufu. It was a tomb, but the word tomb sounds far too modest for a structure nearly 150 meters tall. To build it, the Egyptians used about 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing several tons. The most amazing part is that it was built without cranes, machines, or modern metal tools. For almost 4,000 years, this pyramid remained the tallest structure on Earth. It survived wars, sandstorms, and thousands of years of history, and today it is the only wonder that still exists. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are one of the most mysterious wonders. According to legend, they were built by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II. His wife had grown up among green mountains, but Babylon stood in the middle of a hot plain. To make her feel at home, the king ordered the creation of artificial mountains made of gardens. Terraces rose one above another and were filled with trees, flowers, and vines. Engineers created a system that lifted water from the Euphrates River to the upper levels. For the ancient world, this was incredible technology. However, archaeologists have never found clear evidence that the gardens actually existed, so some historians believe they may have been only a legend. The statue of Zeus at Olympia was created by the famous sculptor Phidias. It depicted the supreme Greek god Zeus sitting on a massive throne decorated with gold and precious stones. The statue was about 12 meters tall and covered with ivory and gold plates. When sunlight entered the temple, the statue would shine brightly. The temple was also a religious center where the Olympic Games were held. Thousands of people came there to worship Zeus. After many centuries, the temple declined, and the statue was eventually moved to another city where it was destroyed in a fire. The Temple of Artemis at Ephesus was so enormous and beautiful that people called it the most beautiful building on Earth. It stood in the city of Ephesus and was dedicated to the goddess Artemis. The temple had 127 marble columns, each about 18 meters high. People from across the Mediterranean traveled there, as if visiting a great religious center. But one night, a man named Herostratus set the temple on fire. When asked why, he said he wanted his name to be remembered forever. Ironically, his plan worked. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus was a tomb built for the ruler Mausolelus after his death. The structure was about 45 meters tall and decorated with hundreds of sculptures. It served as a temple, a monument, and a symbol of power. The building became so famous that the ruler's name turned into a common word. Since then, large monumental tombs have been called mausoleums. Over time, strong earthquakes eventually destroyed the structure. The Colossus of Rhodes. The Colossus of Rhodes was a gigantic bronze statue of the sun god Helios. It was almost the size of a 10-story building and was built to celebrate a military victory of the city of Rhodes. The statue symbolized the strength and independence of the city. Unfortunately, it stood for only 56 years before a powerful earthquake caused it to collapse. Even after it fell, the enormous remains stayed on the ground for centuries, attracting travelers for nearly 800 years. The Lighthouse of Alexandria. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was not a temple or a statue, but an engineering masterpiece. It stood near the city of Alexandria and may have reached a height of about 120 meters. At the top, a fire burned, while large mirrors reflected the light far out into the sea. Its purpose was to help ships safely find the harbor at night and during storms. The lighthouse functioned for more than 1,500 years before a series of powerful earthquakes gradually destroyed it. Looking at the history of these structures, it becomes clear why they disappeared. Fires, wars, earthquakes, and the passage of time eventually destroyed them. But what truly matters is that these buildings were created thousands of years ago, when people had no machines and no modern technology. And yet they managed to build structures that still amaze us today.